The merchant vessel Wandering Earth drifted through the star-speckled void, its engines humming with quiet power. On the bridge, Captain Jane Miller sat in her command chair, one leg crossed over the other as she watched the main view screen. The massive Krelnoth trading hub grew larger as they approached, its ring-shaped structure glittering with thousands of lights against the darkness of space. "Final approach vector confirmed, Captain," said Navigator Olivia Wright, her fingers dancing across her console. "We'll dock in 20 minutes. Jane nodded, taking a sip from her coffee mug. "Any other Earth ships at the hub?" Communications Officer Sam Peterson checked his readouts. "Just one. The Dakota trader left yesterday. Otherwise, we're the only humans around." This wasn't unusual. Despite joining the Galactic Alliance 50 years ago, humans remained somewhat rare in deep space. Earth was classified as a death world by alien standards, a planet with high gravity, extreme weather patterns, dangerous wildlife, and a species that had somehow thrived in such conditions. Most aliens found this fact alone unsettling. "Captain," said First Officer John Simmons, approaching her chair with a data pad, "customs forms are ready for your approval." Jane took the pad and scrolled through the digital paperwork. Everything was in order until she reached the Weapons Declaration section. As always, it was marked NA, not applicable. She smiled slightly and handed the pad back. "Send it through." "Still think it's funny they never figured it out?" John asked quietly. "After 50 years?" "At this point it's tradition," Jane replied. What alien authorities didn't understand was that humans never lied about their weapons. They simply operated under a different definition. The Galactic Alliance had eventually stopped pressing the issue, assuming it was just another human oddity. "Captain, I'm noticing unusual traffic patterns," said John, returning to his station. "More ships leaving the hub than arriving. That's backward from normal operations." Jane frowned. "Seasonal trade shifts?" "Possibly," John replied, but his tone suggested doubt. "Or maybe someone heard something we didn't." Jane trusted John's instincts. They'd served together for 6 years, and his caution had saved them more than once. "Let's maintain Readiness Protocol Delta," she said casually, using the code that would quietly put the crew on alert without alarming any monitoring systems that might be watching. "Just to be safe." "Yes, Captain," John responded, sending the coded message through the ship's internal systems. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Susan Brooks received the alert on her wrist device. Without changing her relaxed demeanor, she began checking systems that weren't on any official ship schematic. Susan loved the elegant machinery that powered these defense systems, though aliens would likely use another word for them. "Tanner," she called to her assistant, "run a full diagnostic on the gravity plating, all sections." Paul Tanner nodded, understanding the subtext. The gravity systems could be modified in ways that would be very unpleasant for unauthorized visitors. Throughout the ship, similar preparations were being made. In security, Chief Alan Garcia unlocked a compartment containing what looked like maintenance tools but had very different applications. In medical, Dr. Laura Wells checked supplies that could serve purposes beyond healing. Back on the bridge, Jane reviewed the latest intelligence reports from Earth Command. Pirates had been increasingly active in this sector, particularly a group called the Vexcari. Known for their ambush tactics, they preyed on merchant vessels traveling between major hubs. "Sam, any unusual communications in the area?" Jane asked. "Nothing obvious," Sam replied, adjusting his earpiece. "Wait, there's something odd in the background radiation. Could be natural, but it's not matching normal patterns." Jane's instincts prickled. "Olivia, plot us an alternative approach vector. Let's swing wide of that dust cloud near the outer marker." "That'll add 30 minutes to our arrival," Olivia noted. "Better late than never," Jane replied. Unknown to the Wandering Earth crew, their caution was warranted. Hidden in that very dust cloud, the pirate vessel Void Reaper watched with predatory interest. Its commander, Zarthul, studied the approaching human ship with 6 dark eyes, his scaled skin reflecting the dim red lighting of his bridge. "Curious," he hissed to his second-in-command, Krell. "They're changing course." Krell, younger and more nervous, flicked his tail. Perhaps they detected us, Lord Captain. Zarthul laughed, a harsh sound like stones grinding. Impossible. Our cloaking technology is superior to their scanning capabilities. He tapped a long claw against his chair. More likely they're being typically human, paranoid and overcautious. Should we adjust our position? Asked Krell. No, Zarthul decided. Let them dock. The hub is a better hunting ground anyway. Less space to run. The pirate leader brought up the human vessel's registration on his screen, studying it with interest. Like all human ships, the weapons section was unmarked. This continuing oddity had become something of a joke among spacefaring species. Some believed humans were simply embarrassed by their primitive armaments. Others thought it was a strange, cultural taboo. Zarthul had his own theory. They don't list weapons because they don't have any, he told Krell. Their homeworld is so harsh they evolved to fight with their bodies. They rely on their supposed physical prowess rather than proper armaments. But the stories, Krell began, are propaganda, Zarthul cut him off. Designed to make a physically weak species seem threatening. I've studied humans. They're slow, fragile, and have no natural weapons. No claws, no venom, poor eyesight, dull hearing. Their only advantage is their Deathworld endurance, which matters little in ship-to-ship combat. On the wandering Earth, Jane felt the lingering sense of being watched. Experience had taught her to trust that feeling. John, have everyone suit up? She ordered quietly. Tell them we're running a drill. John nodded and issued the command. Throughout the ship, crew members entered their quarters and opened personal lockers containing lightweight body armor that fit neatly under their standard uniforms. Some checked small devices that could be mistaken for tools or medical equipment. As the wandering Earth changed course, avoiding the dust cloud where the Void Reaper lurked, Zarthul ordered his helmsman to follow at a distance. Two more pirate vessels moved into position, creating a triangle formation that would allow them to strike from multiple angles once the human ship docked. Remember, Zarthul instructed his boarding teams, humans are physically weak but unpredictable. Stun them immediately. What Zarthul didn't realize, what no pirate had lived to report back, was that human ingenuity extended far beyond physical strength. And the wandering Earth, like all Earth vessels, carried the most dangerous cargo in the galaxy. Humans who had evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every day. Humans who had turned survival into an art form, and who considered weapon a very flexible term indeed. The wandering Earth altered its course, adding 30 minutes to their journey, but avoiding the dust cloud where danger lurked. Captain Jane Miller felt a small sense of victory as they approached the Krellnoth trading hub from a different angle. Sometimes the best defense was simply not being where your enemy expected you to be. Captain, incoming transmission from the hub, Sam Peterson announced from his communication station. They're asking why we changed our approach vector. Tell them we detected unusual radiation patterns and chose a safer route, Jane replied. It wasn't exactly a lie. As Sam relayed the message, Engineer Susan Brooks called up from the engine room. Captain, all systems are green, including the special modifications. Good work, Susan, Jane said. Everyone on board understood the careful language they used when discussing the ship's true capabilities. The three pirate vessels, led by Zarthul's Void Reaper, adjusted their own course to follow the human ship. Zarthul growled with annoyance at the delay, but remained patient. A successful hunter knew when to wait. The humans suspect something, Krell suggested. Irrelevant, Zarthul replied. They have nowhere to run. The hub is our territory now. What Zarthul didn't share with his second-in-command was that he had infiltrated the trading hub 3 days earlier. Several key security systems had been compromised, and many of the hub's defense operators had been paid handsomely to look the other way. The few who refused were no longer among the living. We'll wait until they dock, Zarthul decided, then spring our trap. Back on the wandering Earth, Security Chief Alan Garcia was briefing his team in the cargo hold, which doubled as a training room when needed. Remember your training, he told the 12 men and women gathered before him. These pirates won't expect resistance. They think we're merchants, not soldiers. "We are merchants," said Lisa Chen, a cargo specialist who had once served in Earth's defense forces. "We just happen to be well-prepared merchants." This brought a ripple of laughter from the group. Every crew member aboard the Wandering Earth had been selected not just for their primary skills but for their ability to fight if necessary. It was standard practice on all Earth vessels, though this fact wasn't widely shared with alien allies. Alan held up what looked like a simple pen. "Standard issue neural disruptor. Looks harmless, delivers 50,000 volts on contact. Make sure you're wearing your insulated gloves." He displayed several other ordinary-looking items. A belt buckle that expanded into a shield, a wristband that fired stun darts, boots with reinforced toes and hidden blades. "None of these are classified as weapons under Galactic Alliance definitions," Alan reminded them. "They're personal defense tools. There's a difference, technically speaking." The Wandering Earth continued its approach to the trading hub. From the bridge, Jane watched the massive structure grow larger on the view screen. The hub was shaped like a wagon wheel with a central core and 8 spokes extending to an outer ring. Hundreds of ships were docked along the ring's edge, from tiny personal shuttles to massive cargo haulers. "I count 27 security vessels," First Officer John Simmons reported. "That's fewer than normal." "Pirates must have paid off the security forces," Jane mused. "Typical." "Shall we abort the docking?" John asked. Jane considered for a moment. "No, that would just delay the inevitable. Better to face whatever's waiting for us now, on our terms." She pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands. Prepare for possible hostile encounter upon docking. This is not a drill." Throughout the ship, crew members checked their tools and moved to their designated positions. Unlike military vessels, merchant ships like the Wandering Earth weren't expected to have battle stations or defensive protocols. This gave human crews a significant advantage. No one ever expected them to be organized or prepared for combat. The Wandering Earth approached its assigned docking bay. The 3 pirate vessels took positions around the hub's perimeter, trying to remain inconspicuous among the numerous ships coming and going. Inside his ship, Zarthul addressed his boarding teams one final time before they deployed. "Remember, humans have no natural defenses and no listed weapons. Their only advantage is their unpredictability. Stun them quickly and secure the ship. Their cargo holds are reported to contain rare earth metals and biotechnology worth millions." On the Wandering Earth, Jane received a warning from Sam at Communications. "Captain, I'm detecting encrypted transmissions being exchanged between 3 vessels and the hub security office." "Can you decode them?" Jane asked. "Not completely, but I recognize the pattern. It's similar to known Vexkari pirate communications." Jane nodded. Their suspicions were confirmed. "John, implement Protocol Echo. Let's give our visitors a proper Earth welcome." Protocol Echo was something unique to human vessels. A series of subtle modifications to the ship's interior designed to confuse and trap boarders. Certain corridors could be sealed instantly. Gravity could be manipulated in specific sections. Ventilation systems could release non-lethal but highly disorienting gas. The Wandering Earth docked smoothly at its assigned bay. Mechanical clamps secured the ship to the hub, and the docking tube extended to connect with the ship's main airlock. "Docking complete," Olivia reported from navigation. "External gangway is secure." Jane took a deep breath. "And now we wait for our uninvited guests." They didn't have to wait long. As the crew prepared to disembark, the hub's dock manager contacted them with unusual instructions. "Wandering Earth, this is hub control. Due to recent security concerns, we require your crew to remain aboard while a special inspection team examines your cargo." Jane exchanged knowing glances with John. Special inspection team was hardly subtle. "Of course, hub control," Jane responded, pleasantly. "We'll prepare our manifest and await your team's arrival." After ending the communication, Jane turned to her bridge crew. "Places everyone, let's make sure our inspection team feels welcome." The ship's lights dimmed slightly as power was diverted to systems not listed in any official documentation. Throughout the vessel, crew members moved to hidden positions. Corridors were subtly reconfigured and sensors were adjusted to track the movements of anyone who came aboard. In the docking bay, a group of 15 armed individuals in false hub, security uniforms approached the Wandering Earth's airlock. Their leader, a Vexkari named Droth, wore a stolen hub officer's insignia and carried a heavy stun rifle. "Remember," Droth told his team, "humans are soft and weak. They won't put up much of a fight." As the airlock door began to cycle open, Droth smiled, revealing rows of sharp teeth. This would be an easy job. Board the defenseless human ship, stun anyone who resisted, take the valuable cargo, and perhaps the humans themselves as slaves. What Droth and his team didn't realize was that they were about to discover firsthand why human ships never bothered listing their weapons. They were about to learn that on a death world like Earth, everything was a potential weapon, including the ship itself. The airlock door of the Wandering Earth slid open with a soft hiss. Droth and his 15 pirates, dressed in stolen hub security uniforms, stood ready with weapons drawn. They expected resistance, but what greeted them instead was a smiling, human woman in a standard merchant uniform. "Welcome aboard," said Lisa Chen, the cargo specialist who had once been a soldier. "We've been expecting the inspection team. Please follow me." Droth hesitated, confused by the warm welcome. This wasn't how boarding actions usually went. Victims were supposed to be afraid, not helpful. "You," he barked at Lisa, "step aside. We will conduct our search without your guidance." Lisa maintained, her pleasant smile. "I'm afraid that's against regulations. All visitors must be accompanied by a crew member at all times. Captain's orders." Behind his mask, Droth's scaled face twisted with annoyance. He raised his weapon slightly. "Your captain's orders mean nothing to us." Lisa shrugged, seemingly unconcerned by the weapon pointed at her chest. "Then I suggest you speak with her, directly. She's waiting in the main cargo bay." This was unexpected. Droth had planned to take the bridge first, then secure the cargo. But if the human captain was already in the cargo bay, perhaps they sensed trouble and were trying to protect their valuable goods. "Lead the way," Droth ordered, signaling his team to stay alert. "But no tricks, human, or you die first." "Of course," Lisa replied calmly. "Right this way." As Lisa led the pirates through the corridors of the Wandering Earth, Captain Jane Miller watched their progress on a small screen in the actual cargo bay. Everything was proceeding according to Protocol Echo. "They took the bait," she told security, Chief Alan Garcia, who stood beside her with 4 of his team. "Lisa is bringing them through Section C." Alan nodded, his expression serious. "Corridor modifications in place. Susan reports all systems ready." From the engine room, Susan Brooks monitored the power grid with careful attention. Her fingers hovered over controls that would activate the ship's hidden defenses. "Just say the word, Captain," she said into her communicator. "I can isolate sections or the whole ship." In the corridor, Lisa walked confidently ahead of the pirate boarding party. She chatted pleasantly about the ship's recent trading activities, as if she were giving a tour to honored guests rather than armed invaders. "We just came from Earth with a shipment of rare metals and agricultural products," she explained. "Nothing too exciting, but the hub residents seem to appreciate fresh produce," Droth growled. "Silence, human, we don't need your commentary." Lisa fell quiet but continued leading them through a series of turns that seemed to take longer than the ship's size would suggest. Droth began to feel uneasy. Something wasn't right. The corridor they were in now seemed to stretch farther than it should for a vessel of this class. "Stop," he ordered suddenly. "This isn't the way to the cargo bay. You're leading us in circles." Lisa turned with a look of innocent confusion. "No, this is the correct route. The ship's interior was custom designed by humans. It can be confusing. For non-humans at first." One of Droth's team, a tech specialist named Vak, checked a small device. "Sir, my scanner shows we're approaching a large open area. Could be the cargo bay." Droth nodded, somewhat reassured. "Continue. But my patience grows thin, human." Lisa resumed leading them down the corridor, which finally opened into a wide space. But instead of the cargo bay, they found themselves in the ship's mess hall. Tables and chairs were arranged neatly, but no crew members were present. "This isn't the cargo bay," Droth snarled, raising his weapon. "Oh, my mistake," Lisa said, still unnervingly calm. "The cargo bay is just through that door on the far side. Would you like some refreshments first? We have excellent coffee. Droth's patience snapped. He fired his stun weapon at Lisa, but to his shock, the beam passed right through her body, which flickered slightly. A hologram, he shouted, just as the doors to the mess hall slid shut with a decisive click. The pirates were trapped. From hidden speakers, Captain Jane Miller's voice filled the room. Attention unauthorized visitors. You have boarded a vessel of Earth without permission. This constitutes an act of piracy under Galactic Alliance law. The pirates formed a defensive circle, weapons pointed outward at the empty room. You have 30 seconds to surrender your weapons, Jane's voice continued. After that, we will be forced to take defensive measures. Droth laughed, a harsh barking sound. Empty threats from cowards who won't even show their faces. Break down the doors. 2 pirates rushed to the main door and attached a small explosive device. It detonated with a flash, but when the smoke cleared, the door remained intact. 20 seconds, Jane's calm voice announced. Vak, the tech specialist, scanned the room frantically. Sir, I'm detecting unusual power fluctuations in the floor plating. 10 seconds. Droth fired his weapon at the ceiling, hoping to hit something vital. The energy blast was absorbed without effect. 5 seconds. We are the Vex Kari, Droth shouted. We fear nothing. Time's up, Jane's voice said, initiating defensive protocol. The floor beneath the pirates suddenly glowed with blue light. Before they could react, gravity reversed for them alone. The pirates were violently thrown upward, crashing into the ceiling with painful force. Their weapons, not secured to their bodies, clattered to the floor 8 feet below them. Stuck to the ceiling by the localized gravity reversal, the pirates struggled helplessly. Droth roared with rage and confusion. In all his years of piracy, he had never encountered a defense system like this. What kind of weapon is this? He demanded. The door slid open, and the real Lisa Chen walked in, along with Alan Garcia and his security team. They moved normally, unaffected by the reversed gravity field. It's not a weapon, Lisa explained, looking up at the pirates stuck to the ceiling. It's a modified gravity plating system. Technically, it's just an environmental control. That's why it doesn't appear on our weapons manifest, Alan added with a slight smile. It's not classified as a weapon under Galactic Alliance definitions. From his position on the ceiling, Droth watched in disbelief as the humans calmly collected the pirates' fallen weapons. On the bridge, Jane received reports from throughout the ship. Similar traps had been sprung on the remaining pirates who had tried to enter through other access points. Some were trapped in corridors where the air had been replaced with a non-lethal, but highly sedative gas. Others found themselves in rooms where sound waves at specific frequencies caused disorientation and nausea. All boarding parties contained, Captain, John Simmons reported with satisfaction. No casualties on either side. Excellent, Jane replied. Now let's deal with their ships. Outside, Zarthul watched from the Void Reaper with growing concern. None of his boarding teams had reported back, and attempts to contact them received no response. Something's wrong, he told Krell. Prepare to disconnect from the hub. We may need to leave quickly. Before Krell could respond, their ship's systems suddenly went dark. Emergency lights flickered on, casting the bridge in an eerie red glow. What happened? Zarthul demanded. Unknown, Lord Captain, a crew member responded frantically. Our power core just shut down. On the 2 other pirate vessels, the same scenario was playing out. All 3 ships had lost power simultaneously, leaving them dead in space, still attached to the hub. What the pirates didn't know was that human engineers had long ago discovered a unique frequency that could temporarily disrupt the alien power cores without causing permanent damage. It wasn't a weapon, just a specific broadcast frequency that created a harmless resonance effect. At least that's how humans classified it. Zarthul stared at his dark control panels in disbelief. How could a supposedly unarmed merchant vessel disable 3 pirate ships at once? He was about to learn firsthand why Deathworlder ships never bothered listing their weapons. Aboard the powerless Void Reaper, Zarthul raged at his crew. The bridge was dim, lit only by emergency backup lights that cast everything in a blood-red glow. Technicians worked frantically to restore power, but nothing they tried seemed to work. "How can this happen?" Zarthul demanded, slamming his clawed fist against a dead control panel. "How can a merchant vessel disable 3 warships?" "Lord Captain," Krell said hesitantly, "perhaps the stories about humans are not propaganda after all." Before Zarthul could respond, the main view screen flickered to life, drawing power from an independent emergency circuit. Captain Jane Miller's face appeared, her expression calm and professional. "Attention Vex-carry vessels," she said. "This is Captain Jane Miller of the Earth merchant ship Wandering Earth. Your boarding parties have been contained and your ships have been temporarily disabled. I suggest we discuss terms." Zarthul hissed with rage. "We do not negotiate with prey." Jane raised an eyebrow. "Prey? That's an interesting perspective considering your current situation." She leaned forward slightly. "Let me be clear. We can permanently disable your ship's power cores with another pulse at a different frequency, or we can allow you to power up and leave this system never to return. The choice is yours." The pirate leader's 6 eyes narrowed to slits. "You're bluffing. No merchant vessel carries such capabilities." "You're right," Jane agreed. "By official Galactic Alliance classifications, we carry no weapons. What we do have are defensive systems, environmental modifications, and tools that serve multiple purposes, none of which qualify as weapons under Alliance definitions." She smiled slightly. "It's a curious oversight in the regulations, one that humans have never felt the need to correct." On the bridge of the Wandering Earth, John Simmons watched the exchange on the main screen. Beside him, Sam Peterson monitored communications, making sure their signal couldn't be traced to its true source. "Do you think they'll surrender?" John asked quietly. "Pirates rarely do," Sam replied. "But she's giving them the chance. That's standard procedure. Standard procedure for human vessels, at least. Most alien species would have simply destroyed the pirate ships once they had the advantage. But humans had learned long ago that unnecessary killing created more problems than it solved. Better to show strength than offer mercy, but only once, in Ya. The mess hall, Droth and his boarding party remained pinned to the ceiling by the modified gravity field. Security Chief Alan Garcia stood below them, joined now by Dr. Laura Wells, the ship's physician. "Your people are unharmed," Dr. Wells explained to Droth, looking up at the pirates stuck to the ceiling. "Once we return you to your ships, you may experience mild nausea and headaches from the gravity reversal. These symptoms will pass within a few hours," Droth snarled. "We are not defeated. The Vexkari will have revenge," Alan sighed. "That attitude is why we installed these systems in the first place." He turned to Dr. Wells. "Make sure they're all properly secured before we move them." Laura nodded and began scanning each pirate with a small handheld device. "No serious injuries," she reported, "though this one has an elevated heart rate that concerns me." The pirates watched in confusion as the human doctor showed genuine concern for their well-being. It contradicted everything they had been told about the supposedly savage Deathworlders. Back on the Void Reaper, Zarthul considered his options. His ships were powerless, his boarding parties captured, and the human captain seemed frustratingly confident. Worst of all, she appeared to be telling the truth about their capabilities. Somehow, this merchant vessel had outmaneuvered and outgunned 3 pirate warships without firing a single shot. "If I agree to your terms," Zarthul said carefully, "how do I know you won't destroy us once our people are returned?" Jane's expression remained neutral. "Because if we wanted to destroy you, we would have done so already. Humans don't waste resources on unnecessary conflict." She paused, then added, "Additionally, we've already contacted Galactic Alliance security forces. They'll be here within 6 hours. If you're still in the system when they arrive, you'll face charges of piracy, attempted kidnapping, and likely murder for what you did to the hub's security personnel." Zarthul's face revealed nothing, but inwardly he cursed. The human knew about the security officers he had eliminated. Somehow they had pieced together his entire operation. "Very well," he finally said. "Return my crew, restore our power, and we will leave this system." "And never return," Jane added firmly, "nor target any other human vessels." "You ask much, human." I'm offering you your lives, Jane replied simply. A fair trade, I think. After a tense moment, Zarthul nodded his agreement. We will not return to this system or target human vessels. Now release my crew. Jane smiled. They'll be at your airlocks in 20 minutes. Your power will be restored once they're safely aboard. Wandering Earth out. The screen went dark, leaving Zarthul in the dim red light once more. He turned to Krell, who had watched the exchange with wide eyes. How did they do this? Krell asked quietly. They have no weapons. A trick of words, Zarthul growled. They have weapons, they simply call them something else. On the wandering Earth, Jane turned to her bridge crew with a tired smile. Well done, everyone. Begin transferring the prisoners back to their ships. Are we really just letting them go? Olivia Wright asked from navigation. We are, Jane confirmed. But not without a little insurance policy. She turned to John. Is the tracker ready? John nodded. Susan placed it while their power was down. It's undetectable by their scanning technology. We'll know where they go and what they do for the next 6 months. And I've already transmitted their identification and methods to Earth Command, Sam added from communications. Every human ship in the sector will be warned about the Vexkari. Jane nodded, satisfied. Galactic Alliance security probably won't get here in time to catch them, but at least the hub will be warned too. In the security office, Alan Garcia supervised as his team prepared to move the pirates. Each pirate was fitted with restraints that looked like simple wristbands but could deliver a paralyzing shock if activated. Lisa Chen helped secure the prisoners as the gravity field was gradually returned to normal, bringing the pirates gently down from the ceiling. I still don't understand, one of the younger pirates said to her as he was helped to his feet. If you have such powerful defenses, why hide them? Why not list them openly and deter attacks? Lisa smiled. Would you have believed us if we had? Or would you have just planned a different approach? The young pirate didn't answer, but his expression suggested she was right. Besides, Lisa continued, there's an old human saying, the best weapon is the one you never have to fire. As the pirates were escorted to their ships, Engineer Susan Brooks completed the final checks on the frequency disruptor. Once the pirates were safely aboard their vessels, she would reverse the effect, allowing their power cores to function again. Ready to restore power on your command, Captain, she reported to Jane. Wait until they're all aboard and the airlocks are secure, Jane replied. Then give them just enough power for life support and engines. Weapons stay offline until they're clear of the hub. Susan grinned. Already programmed into the sequence, Captain. Throughout the ship, the human crew continued their efficient response to the attempted hijacking. To observers from other species, their calm competence might have seemed unusual for mere merchants. But every crew member aboard the Wandering Earth, like all human ships, was trained for exactly this kind of situation. Because in the dangerous expanse of space, humans had learned that the line between merchant and warrior often disappeared entirely, and they had adapted accordingly, bringing their Deathworld survival instincts to the stars. 3 days after the pirate incident, the Wandering Earth remained docked at the Krelnoth trading hub. The crew had completed their original mission of delivering Earth goods and were now loading the ship with alien merchandise to take back home. Life had returned to normal, or as normal as it ever got for humans in space. On the bridge, Captain Jane Miller reviewed reports from Earth Command on her datapad. The information about the Vexkari pirates had been distributed to all human ships in the sector. The tracker placed on Zarthul's vessel showed that the pirates had indeed left the system as promised, heading toward the outer rim. Looks like they're keeping their word so far, she told John Simmons, who stood nearby checking inventory lists. For now, John replied. Pirates aren't known for their long memories when it comes to promises. Jane nodded in agreement. That's why we have the tracker, and why every human ship in the sector will be ready for them if they try again. The door to the bridge slid open, and Security Chief Alan Garcia entered. Captain, we have visitors. Hub Security wants to speak with you. Jane raised an eyebrow. Real Hub Security this time. Seems so, Alan confirmed. Their credentials check out. Send them in. Two aliens entered the bridge. One was a tall, insect-like Thrix with multi-layered eyes and chitinous armor. The other was a Polani, a furry humanoid with 4 arms and a long, sensitive snout. Both wore the official uniforms of the Krelnoth Security Force. "Captain Miller," the Thrix said, mandibles clicking as he spoke. "I am Chief Inspector Krazizik. This is my associate, Officer Drell. We're investigating the incident with the Vexkari pirates." Jane stood and offered a formal bow, the standard greeting for Thrix officials. "Of course, Inspector. We're happy to cooperate. We understand you repelled a boarding action and disabled 3 pirate vessels," Krazizik continued. "Yet according to your ship's registration, you carry no weapons." "That's correct," Jane confirmed. "We have no weapons as defined by Galactic Alliance regulations." The inspector's compound eyes seemed to narrow, though it was hard for humans to read Thrix expressions. "Then how did you defeat the pirates?" Jane smiled. "Would you like a tour of our ship? I think that would explain things more clearly than words." The 2 security officers exchanged glances, then nodded. Jane led them from the bridge and through the corridors of the wandering Earth, explaining as they walked. "Humans evolved on a high-gravity world with extreme environmental variations and numerous predators," she began. "We survived not by being the strongest or fastest species, but by being adaptable and creative with the resources available to us." She gestured to the corridor walls. "These panels, for instance. They're designed to absorb and redistribute kinetic energy. If someone fires an energy weapon in this corridor, the blast is absorbed, and the energy is channeled into our power systems." The Polani, Officer Drell, ran one of his 4 hands along the wall. "But that's a defensive measure, not a weapon." "Exactly," Jane agreed. "And under Alliance definitions, defensive systems aren't classified as weapons." The tour continued through various parts of the ship. Jane showed them the modified gravity plating that had trapped the pirate boarding party, the sound system that could emit frequencies causing disorientation in most species, and the atmospheric controls that could release non-lethal sedative gas. In engineering, Susan Brooks demonstrated the frequency disruptor that had temporarily disabled the pirate ship's power cores. "It doesn't damage the ships," Susan explained. "It just creates a harmonic resonance that interrupts the energy flow, like putting your finger on a vibrating string to stop the sound. But these are all tools with peaceful applications," Officer Drell noted. "The gravity plating is for artificial gravity. The sound system is for entertainment and announcements. The atmospheric controls are for life support." "Yes," Jane confirmed. "Every system on this ship has a primary peaceful function. The fact that they can be modified for defense is a bonus." Chief Inspector Krazizik's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of either agitation or deep thought. "This seems like a deliberate exploitation of a loophole in Alliance regulations," Jane shrugged. "We prefer to think of it as creative compliance. The regulations were written by species with very different evolutionary histories than humans. They define weapons as devices, designed specifically to cause harm. Our philosophy is different." "How so?" asked the inspector. "On Earth, we learned long ago that anything can be a weapon in the right hands. A kitchen knife, a farming tool, even a simple rock. So rather than creating dedicated weapons, we design our tools to serve multiple purposes, including defense, when necessary." In the security office, Alan showed the visitors the personal items that the crew carried: the pens that could deliver electric shocks, the belts that expanded into shields, the wristbands with stun capabilities. "Personal defense tools," Alan explained, "not classified as weapons under Section 47.3 of the Alliance Code." By the time the tour ended, the 2 security officers seemed both impressed and troubled. They returned to the bridge, where Jane offered them refreshments. "So you see, Inspector, we didn't lie on our registration forms," Jane concluded. "We truly don't carry weapons. We simply have a different approach to security." The chief inspector was quiet for a moment, then said, "This explains much about human ships. For years, many have wondered why you leave the weapons section blank. Some believed it was cultural secretiveness. Others thought it was some strange human joke. No joke, Jane assured him. Just a different definition. I must report this to Alliance headquarters, Kraszik said. They may wish to revise the regulations. Jane nodded. They're welcome to try, but I doubt they'll find wording that covers every possible way a creative species might defend itself without technically using weapons. After the security officers left, John turned to Jane with a concerned expression. Do you think they'll change the regulations? They might try, Jane replied. But by the time they work out all the details and get approval from all member species, we'll have developed new approaches they haven't thought of yet. She smiled. That's the human advantage. We're always adapting. Later that evening, as the hub's artificial day cycle dimmed to night, Zarthul sat in his quarters aboard the Void Reaper, now several systems away from Krelnoth. His pride was wounded, but he had survived, and that meant he could learn and grow stronger. On his personal data pad, he wrote a message to be distributed to all Vexkari ships and allies. Avoid human vessels at all costs. They list no weapons, because everything they build is a weapon. They are Deathworlders not just in body but in mind. As he sent the message, Zarthul did not realize that the tracking device hidden on his ship was also copying and transmitting his communications. On the wandering Earth, now preparing to leave the trading hub, Jane received the message and smiled. The best defense wasn't having the most powerful weapons. It was making potential attackers believe you didn't need them at all.